The stars above 442B were beautiful that night. Governor stood at her office window, watching the twin moons rise over the wheat fields. 12 years ago, she had arrived here as a young engineer. Now she led 50,000 people who called this distant world home. The colony was simple but proud. They had built schools, hospitals, and farms. Children who were born here had never seen Earth. This was their home now. The red soil, the purple sunsets, the strange birds that sang at dawn, all of it was theirs. Tablet beeped. She looked down and her blood turned cold. "Governor, please come to the command center immediately," said her communications officer. His voice was shaking. Ran. The command center was a small room with old computers and tired screens. It was never meant for war. It was meant for tracking weather and managing crop rotations. But now every screen showed the same thing. Ships. Dozens of ships. They were dropping out of fold space like metal rain. 47 vessels, said. He was a young man, only 25. His hands would not stop trembling. They matched Dominion's signatures. Had heard stories about everyone had. They were conquerors. They moved through the galaxy taking whatever they wanted. Young colonies were their favorite targets. Easy prey. No defenses, no help coming. "How long until they reach orbit?" asked. "They are already in orbit." The main screen flickered. A face appeared. It was not human. The creature had gray skin, 4 eyes, and a mouth full of needle teeth. It wore armor that looked like black glass. "I am High Commander of the Dominion," the creature said. Its voice was deep and cold like rocks grinding together. "Your world now belongs to us. You have 6 hours to surrender. If you do not, we will burn your colony from orbit. Every man, woman, and child will die. This is not a negotiation. This is a fact." The screen went dark. Nobody spoke, could hear her own heartbeat. She thought of her daughter, only 7 years old. Right now, was sleeping in their small apartment near the hydroponic gardens. She had no idea that death was hanging above her head. "What do we do?" someone whispered. Looked around the room. She saw fear in every face. These were not soldiers. They were farmers, teachers, doctors, and engineers. They had come here to build a new life, not to fight a war. "How long until Earth receives our distress signal?" asked. Checked his console. 14 hours for the signal to reach them, 6 months for any help to arrive. 6 months, they had 6 hours. Walked to the window. Outside, the colony was peaceful. Lights glowed in family homes. The wind turbines turned slowly in the night breeze. Somewhere, a dog was barking. She thought about surrender. She thought about what they did to captured populations. Slavery, experiments, death camps. She had read the reports from other species who had survived Dominion attacks. Very few survived. If they surrendered, her people would suffer for years before dying anyway. If they fought, they would die quickly but on their own terms. But there was a third option, a crazy, impossible option. "Get me chief engineer," said, "and wake up everyone in the militia, all 300 of them." Stared at her. "Governor, we cannot fight 47 warships. We have 3 patrol vessels and some mining lasers. It is impossible." "Maybe," said, "but I did not travel 40 light years to kneel before some 4-eyed lizard. My grandmother survived a war. My grandfather survived a war. My ancestors held off empires with wooden ships and iron will. We are not going to break that tradition today." She turned to face her staff, these tired, scared people who had trusted her to lead them. "I will not order anyone to fight," she said. "This is a choice. If you want to surrender, I understand. I will not judge you, but I am going to resist. I am going to make these creatures bleed for every meter of our soil, and if I die, I will die standing." Silence filled the room. Then stood up. "What do you need me to do, Governor?" One by one, the others nodded. Some were crying, some were angry, but none of them wanted to kneel. Chief Engineer arrived 10 minutes later. He was a big man with rough hands and a brilliant mind. He had designed half the colony's infrastructure. The planetary shield said, "The meteor deflector, can you make it stronger?" Scratched his chin. It was never designed for military bombardment, but if I reroute every power cell in the colony, including life support reserves, I might be able to hold off a few volleys. Do it. Governor, if I take power from life support, people could freeze. The temperature will drop. Better cold than dead, better cold than slaves. Nodded slowly. I always said this colony needed more excitement. He almost smiled. I will need every engineer we have. As he left, sent one more message, not to Earth. They were too far away. She sent it to the fleet. "High Commander," she said, her voice steady. "We decline your offer of surrender. This is human soil. If you want it, you are welcome to come down and try to take it. But I promise you this, it will cost you more than you can imagine." She ended the transmission and looked up at the stars, where death waited in metal ships. "Come and get us," she whispered. High Commander had conquered 17 star systems. He had broken species that were older than human civilization. He had watched entire planets burn. Nothing surprised him anymore. Until today. He sat in his command chair, staring at the transmission from the human colony. The female governor had refused to surrender, not begged for mercy, not tried to negotiate. She had simply said no. "Play it again," ordered. His communications officer obeyed. The human female appeared on screen. She was small, with black hair and dark eyes. She looked tired. She looked afraid, but her voice did not shake. "We decline your offer of surrender. This is human soil. If you want it, you are welcome to come down and try to take it." Made a sound that was almost a laugh. "She declines, as if she has a choice." His second-in-command, a veteran named, leaned closer. Perhaps their translators malfunctioned. They cannot possibly understand their situation. "Oh, they understand," said. "Look at her eyes. She knows exactly what she is doing." He waved his hand. "Begin bombardment, standard pattern. Let us see how long their courage lasts when fire falls from the sky." The fleet moved into attack formation. Energy weapons charged with a low hum that found almost musical. He had heard it so many times before. It was the sound of victory. "Fire," he said. Green light streaked down from the warships. Enough firepower to crack mountains. Enough heat to turn sand into glass. The bolts struck the planet's surface and stopped. Leaned forward. "What is happening?" The planetary shield, that pathetic little meteor deflector, was glowing blue-white with energy. It should have shattered like thin ice. Instead, it was holding. "Impossible," growled. "That shield is designed for rocks, not weapons." On the planet below, Chief Engineer was burning his hands on overheating consoles. He had connected every power source in the colony to the shield matrix. Solar panels, wind turbines, emergency batteries, even the power cells from children's toys. Everything. The temperature inside the colony had dropped to freezing. People wrapped themselves in blankets and watched the sky burn. But they did not panic. They trusted their governor. They trusted their engineer. "Hold," whispered through clenched teeth. "Just hold a little longer." In orbits, patience was ending. Increased to full bombardment, all ships, maximum power. 47 warships opened fire together. The sky above the colony turned green with death. The shield screamed under the assault. Warning lights flashed in his makeshift control room. "I am losing it," he shouted into his communicator. "One more volley and we are finished." Governor's voice came back calm and clear. "Then we make sure there is no more volley. Begin Phase 2. Did not know what Phase 2 was. He was too busy trying to keep the shield alive. But across the colony, people started moving. Militia members ran through underground tunnels. Engineers activated hidden systems. Farmers loaded strange packages onto transport vehicles. stood in the main bunker, surrounded by screens showing every part of the colony. Her daughter was beside her now, holding her mother's hand. "Mama, are the bad aliens going to hurt us?" asked. Knelt down and looked into her daughter's eyes. "Not if I can help it, my love, not ever." She stood and addressed her militia commander, a former police officer named. He was a calm man who never raised his voice, even now. "Are the traps ready?" asked. Nodded. "Agricultural district is prepared. Water systems are modified. Construction drones are. We turned everything into a weapon just like you ordered." "Good, now we wait for them to land." In orbit, had stopped the bombardment. The shield was weakening but not breaking. He could continue for hours, but his ammunition was not unlimited. "They want us to waste our resources," he realized. "Clever, very clever." He turned to prepare ground forces, 5,000 soldiers, full combat gear. "We will take this colony the old-fashioned way." Smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Finally, I was getting bored." The landing ships descended like metal locusts. They touched down outside the colony's main entrance, and soldiers poured out in perfect formation. They were tall, heavily armored, and carried weapons that could punch through steel. They expected terrified farmers running in the streets. They expected crying children and begging adults. They found nothing. The colony was empty, silent. Every building was dark. Every street was abandoned. It was like walking into a ghost town. "Where are they?" a sergeant growled. His scanner showed no life signs, but that was impossible. 50,000 humans could not just disappear. Deep underground, watched the alien soldiers through hidden cameras. They were entering the agricultural district now, walking past the grain silos, stepping over irrigation pipes. Her hand hovered over a red button. "Come on," she whispered, "just a little further." The troops spread out, searching buildings. They found abandoned meals on tables, toys on floors, beds still warm. The humans had left minutes ago. The sergeant reported to commander, "No contact. They are hiding somewhere. We will find them." "See that you do," replied. "I want prisoners. I want to know how they strengthened that shield." The sergeant never got to answer. "Because press the button." And the agricultural district, 40 square kilometers of carefully prepared farmland, exploded into fire. The explosion lit up the night sky like a second sun. Modified fertilizer, the same chemicals used to grow wheat and corn, had been packed under every street in the agricultural district. Irrigation pipes, designed to carry water to thirsty crops, now sprayed accelerant that turned small fires into massive infernos. 1,000 soldiers died in the first 30 seconds. Lieutenant watched through the camera feeds from his position in the underground tunnels. The tunnels had been built to transport water throughout the colony. Now they transported something far more dangerous, human soldiers with nothing left to lose. "Move to position 2, ordered his squad. "They will send reinforcements. We need to be ready." His squad was 12 people. A teacher named Bora who had never held a weapon before last week. A mechanic named who still had grease under his fingernails. A nurse named who kept her medical kit next to her rifle. None of them were soldiers. All of them were ready to die. In orbit, High Commander stared at the tactical display. 1,000 soldiers, gone just like that. "What happened?" he demanded. His voice was tight with anger. "Explosives. They turned their farms into a minefield. They destroyed their own food supply to kill our troops." "Insane," muttered. "They are completely insane." But insanity was not stupidity, was beginning to understand that. These humans had known they could not win a straight fight, so they changed the rules. They made their weakness into a weapon. "Send another wave," ordered, 2,000 this time, and tell them to watch where they step. The second wave was more careful. They scanned for explosives. They moved slowly through the burned remains of the agricultural district. They found bodies of their fallen comrades, twisted and charred. They did not find the humans, until the humans found them. Squad emerged from a tunnel exit behind the patrol. Their mining lasers, designed to cut through rock, worked just as well on alien armor. The attack lasted 40 seconds. 12 humans killed 30 soldiers before disappearing back underground. Similar attacks happened all across the colony. Small groups of humans appearing from nowhere, striking fast, then vanishing. They could not catch them. They could not predict them. Every building was a potential ambush. Every shadow could hide death. By dawn, another 500 soldiers were dead. Commander led the next assault personally. He was the best warrior in his fleet, a veteran of dozens of conquests. He had never lost a battle. His troops entered the residential district. Empty homes, empty streets, the same silence that had greeted the first wave. Scanners show nothing, his lieutenant reported. The scanners are useless, growled. These creatures have found ways to hide from them. Use your eyes, use your instincts. A sound came from a nearby building. A child's toy playing music, the same simple melody over and over. In there pointed, carefully. His soldiers surrounded the building. It was a school, colorful and cheerful, decorated with paintings made by small hands. Kicked down the door. Empty, the toy sat on a desk playing its song. A trap, obviously a trap. Turn to leave, fall back, this is. The solar panels on the roof exploded, not with fire but with electricity. The school's entire power system had been rigged to overload. Blue lightning arced through the building, cooking soldiers inside their own armor. Survived only because he was standing near the door. He crawled out of the burning school, his armor smoking, his pride destroyed. How, he coughed, how are farmers doing this? Deep in the bunker, Governor allowed herself a small smile. Her people were dying too. Scouts captured, militia members killed in failed ambushes, but the ratio was in their favor. For every human lost, 10 fell. Chief Engineer entered the bunker, exhausted but still working. The water treatment plant is ready. If they enter that sector, we can release chemical compounds, non-lethal to humans, very lethal to biology. How do you know it will work on them? Asked. I analyzed their dead. Their respiratory systems are similar to Earth insects. Common pesticides will kill them in minutes. Nodded, do it. The third day was worse for They entered the water treatment sector with full protective gear. The gear protected them from chemicals. It did not protect them from construction drones to fly into their faces at high speed. It did not protect them from tunnels rigged to collapse. It did not protect them from humans who attacked from above, below, and every side at once. High Commander had lost 4,000 soldiers, 4,000 of his best warriors, killed by farmers and teachers and children's school teachers. His fleet had ammunition for maybe 2 more days of bombardment. His troops were refusing to enter the colony without heavy support. This is impossible, said. His voice was broken now. They have no training, no weapons, no fleet. How are they doing this? Stared at the planet below. Smoke rose from a dozen locations. Human smoke, smoke. Both sides were bleeding. Because they have something we do not understand, said slowly. They are not fighting to win. They are fighting to hurt us. They know they will die. They accept it. And that makes them more dangerous than any army I have ever faced. He made a decision, one that had worked on 14 previous worlds, one that broke the spirit of every species. Bring out the prisoners, ordered. We will broadcast executions. Let them watch their people die slowly. Let them understand the cost of resistance. In the bunker, received word that 3 of her scouts had been captured. One of them was a young woman named, 23 years old. She had wanted to be a botanist. Closed her eyes. The real battle was about to begin. The broadcast began at noon. Every screen in the colony flickered to life. Every tablet, every computer, every display panel showed the same image. An execution platform floating in orbit, visible through the observation windows. Scout stood in the center, her hands bound. She was bruised, she was bleeding, but she was standing straight. High Commander's voice echoed through every speaker. People of this colony, you have been brave, you have been foolish, but bravery and foolishness both end the same way. Watch now what happens to those who resist the Dominion. In the main bunker, 50,000 humans watched. Mothers covered their children's eyes. Old men wept silently. Young people clenched their fists until their knuckles turned white. Governor watched too. She did not look away. She owed that much. The young scout looked directly into the camera. She knew she was going to die. She knew her family was watching, her friends, her entire world. "Do not surrender," said. Her voice was weak but clear. "Do not ever surrender. Make them pay. Make them remember us. Make them." The transmission cut off. Everyone knew what had happened next. Silence filled the bunker, heavy, crushing silence. A child was crying somewhere. The sound was unbearable. Then stood up. She walked to the center of the room where everyone could see her. Her face was wet with tears, but her voice did not shake. "They want us to break," she said. "They want us to watch our friends die and lose hope. They want us to beg for mercy." She looked around at her people. 50,000 faces, farmers and teachers and engineers, mothers and fathers and children, all of them exhausted, all of them grieving, all of them watching her. "I will not beg," continued. "I will not surrender, not because I am brave, but because I know what happens if we do. I have read the reports, slavery, torture, death camps, our children working in their mines until their bodies break, our elderly discarded like garbage." She pulled up an image on the main screen. Earth, blue and green and beautiful, their distant home. "We are the first human colony the Dominion has ever attacked. If we surrender, if we show them that humans can be broken, they will attack Earth next. 8 billion people, our families, our history, everything we came from." Her voice grew stronger. "But if we fight, if we make them bleed, if we hurt them so badly that they never forget this little farming colony on the edge of nowhere, then maybe they will think twice. Maybe the next time they see a human ship, they will remember 442B. They will remember us, and they will be afraid." Chief Engineer stepped forward. His hands were burned and bandaged from keeping the shields running. His eyes were red from days without sleep, but he was smiling. "I have been working on something," he said. "The colony ship, the one that brought us here 12 years ago, it is still in orbit, running on minimal power. Its reactor is old but functional." He pulled up schematics on the screen. "If we overload the reactor correctly, we can create a cascade reaction. The explosion would destroy everything within 50 kilometers. Their entire fleet is gathered in that area." Someone gasped. "That would kill whoever is on the ship." "Yes," said simply, "it would." Silence again. Everyone understood what he was suggesting. A suicide mission. Someone would have to fly up there, reach the colony ship, and die destroying the enemy fleet. "How do we even get there?" Lieutenant asked. "They have the whole planet surrounded. Any shuttle we launch will be shot down in seconds." "Not if we provide a distraction," said slowly. Her mind was working. "Our 3 patrol vessels, they could launch a direct attack on the fleet, draw fire, buy time." "Those pilots would die too," said. "Yes." More silence. This was the price of resistance. Not just courage, not just pain, death, real death, choosing to die so others might live. An old man pushed through the crowd. His name was, and he was 67 years old. He had been a pilot his whole life. He had flown the colony ship here from Earth 12 years ago. He knew every centimeter of that vessel. "I will do it," said. His voice was calm, like he was talking about the weather. "I know that ship better than anyone. I can reach the reactor room faster than anyone. And honestly, my knees are not good enough for running anymore anyway." A young woman grabbed his arm. His granddaughter, she was crying. "Grandfather, no, please. There has to be another way." Took her hands gently. He looked at her with such love that everyone watching felt their hearts break. "My dear girl," he said, "I have lived a long life, a good life. I flew through the stars. I saw humanity reach for new worlds. I watched you grow from a baby into a beautiful young woman. What more can an old man ask for?" "I am asking you not to go," whispered. Kissed her forehead. "I know, and I love you for it, but this is bigger than me. This is bigger than all of us. If I can save you, if I can save everyone here, then my death means something. Let me have that. Let me be a hero just this once." Could not speak anymore. She just held her grandfather and cried. Approached them slowly. "Are you sure?" she asked. The old pilot smiled. "Governor, I have never been more sure of anything. Just promise me one thing." "Anything." "Tell Earth what happened here. Tell them we did not kneel. Tell them we made these monsters afraid." His smile faded into something harder, something fierce. "And tell them that humanity does not break. Not now, not ever." Took his hand. "I promise." Preparations began immediately. The shuttle was fueled. The patrol vessels were armed with everything the colony had left. Volunteer pilots stepped forward, knowing they would not return. In his flagship, High Commander watched the activity on the planet's surface with growing unease. They were planning something. These impossible humans were planning something. He just did not know what. Not yet. The shuttle launched at midnight. Old Pilot sat alone in the cockpit, his wrinkled hands steady on the controls. Behind him, 3 patrol vessels rose from the colony's surface like angry fireflies. In the bunker, everyone watched the screens. Governor stood at the front, her daughter pressed against her side. Was there too, her eyes fixed on the small dot that was her grandfather's shuttle. "Patrol vessels engaging," reported from communications. "Enemy fleet is responding." The 3 patrol vessels flew directly at the warships. It was suicide. Everyone knew it. The pilots knew it best of all, but they flew anyway, weapons firing, engines screaming. High Commander watched the attack with confusion. What are they doing? 3 ships against 47. This is madness. "They are trying to distract us," said suddenly. "Look, there." He pointed at a secondary display. A small shuttle was moving away from the battle, heading toward the old colony ship that floated forgotten at the edge of the formation. "Stop that shuttle," commanded. 5 warships broke formation to pursue. They were faster than the shuttle. They would catch it easily. But the patrol vessels changed course. They threw themselves between the warships and shuttle. They blocked firing lanes with their own bodies. The first patrol vessel exploded in a ball of flame. The second followed moments later. The third held on longer, weaving through enemy fire, buying precious seconds. "Grandfather," whispered in the bunker, "please make it." Could see the colony ship now, his old friend. He had spent 5 years of his life inside that vessel, traveling from Earth to this distant star. He knew every corridor, every room, every emergency hatch. The 3rd patrol vessel finally died, but it had done its job. Shuttle reached the colony ship's docking port. He was inside. "He made it," shouted. "He is on board." But they were coming. Boarding pods launched from the nearest warships, carrying soldiers to stop whatever the humans were planning. Had maybe 10 minutes. He ran through the dark corridors of the colony ship. His knees hurt. His lungs burned. He was too old for this, but he kept running. The reactor room was deep in the heart of the ship. Reached it just as he heard the first soldiers entering the vessel. Their boots echoed through the metal halls. He sealed the reactor room door and began working. His hands moved across the control panels from memory. 12 years had passed, but some things you never forget. "Override safety protocols," he muttered to himself. "Increase fuel injection rate, disable cooling systems." Warning alarms began to sound. The reactor core started glowing brighter, hotter. The cascade reaction was beginning. Soldiers reached the reactor room door. They tried to cut through, could hear their tools burning into the metal. He activated his communicator for one final transmission. "This is, I am inside the reactor room. The cascade is started. I have maybe 2 minutes before it reaches critical." In the bunker was sobbing, held her hand. "Tell her grandfather loved her," continued. His voice was calm, almost happy. "Tell her I am not afraid. And tell Earth, tell everyone who will listen, we did not kneel, we never knelt." The door was almost open now. Could see gray alien hands reaching through the gap. "Goodbye, my friends. See you among the stars." He turned off the communicator. He looked at the reactor core, now glowing white-hot with building energy. He thought of his wife, who had died 10 years ago. He thought of his daughter, killed in a mining accident. He thought of his precious granddaughter, who would live because of what he was about to do. He smiled. The door burst open. Soldiers poured in, weapons raised. Press the final button. The explosion was visible from the planet's surface. A new star was born in the night sky, blazing white and terrible. The colony ship's reactor released all its energy at once, creating a cascade that spread through the debris like fire through dry grass. 12 warships were destroyed instantly. 20 more were caught in the expanding wave of plasma and radiation. Their shields failed. Their hulls cracked. They died in silence and flame. High Commander's flagship survived. Barely. Half his systems were offline. His crew was dead or dying. He pulled himself up from the floor and looked at the tactical display. 31 ships. He had lost 31 ships, 5,000 soldiers, all to a farming colony of 50,000 people. "High Commander," his wounded adjutant croaked. "We could still glass the surface, end this." Stared at the display for a long time. On the planet below, 41,000 humans were still alive, still fighting. They had lost 9,000 people, but they were still standing, still resisting. "No," said. "Sir." Turned away from the display. His voice was hollow, empty. "If we destroy them now, we destroy a warning. Leave one probe in orbit, set it to broadcast everything that happened here, everything, every battle, every death, every moment of this disaster. Then we withdraw." Withdraw. The adjutant could not believe what he was hearing. The Dominion has never retreated. "We retreat today." His 4 eyes were dark with something new, something he had never felt before. Fear. "There are 8 billion more of them on there. If 50,000 can do this, I will not be the commander who wakes the rest." The remaining ships limped away, leaving their dead behind, leaving the probe behind, leaving the humans behind. In the bunker, cheering erupted. People hugged each other, they wept, they laughed, they could not believe it, they had survived. But did not cheer. She sat alone, staring at the sky where her grandfather had become a star. Sat beside her. "He saved us all," she said softly. "He saved the colony, he saved humanity. History will remember his name." Wiped her tears. "I know, I just wish he was here to see it." 6 months later, Earth's response fleet arrived. Warships and supply vessels and thousands of soldiers, ready to fight an enemy that was already gone. Admiral Park, the fleet commander, met Governor at the landing site. He looked around at the colony, the burned fields, the damaged buildings, the people who had survived the impossible. "You actually did it," he said. "You held off the entire fleet with farmers and mining equipment." Shook her head. "We did not hold them off, we made them afraid. There is a difference." She led him to the memorial that the colonists had built. It stood in the center of the agricultural district, where the first battle had been fought. Every name of those who had fallen was carved into black stone, 9,000 names. At the center of the memorial was a statue of an old man, one hand raised toward the stars. The inscription read simply, "We did not kneel." Admiral Park stood in silence for a long moment. Then he saluted. His soldiers saluted. Every human present saluted the dead. High above, the probe continued its broadcast. Every species in the galaxy who picked up the signal learned the same lesson. They watched the footage. They saw farmers build weapons from fertilizer. They saw teachers fight like warriors. They saw an old pilot fly into death with a smile on his face. And they learned the most important truth of all. Humans do not surrender. Humans do not break. Humans remember their dead and honor them by fighting harder. The colony became famous. It became a symbol. When other human ships traveled through the galaxy, alien species treated them with new respect, new fear. Because everyone knew what 50,000 humans had done, and everyone wondered what 8 billion could do if they were ever threatened. The Dominion never attacked another human colony. They never even came close. The memory of 442b was burned into their history forever. A warning, a promise, a legacy. We did not kneel. And we never will.